We have a massive Rockets trade update as a new report reveals a master plan, and it has the Rockets holding all the cards when it comes to the 2025 NBA offseason trade targets. And the best part about it, Rafael knows he doesn't even have to make a trade if he doesn't want to. Welcome into Rockets Digest. I'm Jace Andrews, and I appreciate all the support on the content we've been putting out. If you've been enjoying it, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support us, and it's 100% free. But I have a question for all of H-Town Nation before we get going today, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. Should the Houston Rockets make a big trade this offseason? Yes or no? Let me know down in the comments section, which leads us into our video. The Rockets hold all the cards when it comes to potential trades, and we've known this and we've talked about it seldomly on this channel before, but it's more been surrounding a potential trade. Today I really want to hone in on why they have all the cards and why this team is totally fine going into next year with the exact same roster. Rafael has talked about how he wants this team and the core and pretty much the entire team to be the same as it was this year, next year, and give them a second shot at going. I mean, they were the number 2 team in the West. They just happened to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs against a very good Warriors team in 7 games. So I understand it. But today I really want to dive into why they hold all the cards and why, if a trade is made for the Rockets, it's probably going to be a little bit more down the line. Now, we start with this report coming in here. All of this coming from Lanchard Binkley at Binkley. And he said this, quote, "The Rockets have been involved in most of the trade rumors this offseason as they are one of the few teams with draft picks and young players for whom other teams would like to trade, and they were a winning team. The Rockets check off all the boxes of a team with the assets to pull off a major trade," end quote. And I want to start with this. That is the big reason why we have been going all over the league with terms of these trade talks, because the Rockets could be involved in any singular trade that happens this offseason, whether it be a 3-team trade, whether it be a 2-team trade, whether it be a trade for Giannis or a trade for Tyler Hero. They could be involved because of the assets they have. And I want to go back to something we showed a little bit earlier on this season. It's the offseason outlook. The roster resources that the Rockets have this year are incredible. They got a top 10 pick, which we now know to be number 10, 5 tradable first-round picks, a very young core that you could break up if you do want to. Şengün, Green, Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr, Shepard, Whitmore, and Eason. Those are the more tradable ones in there. And you've got some sizable contracts that, you could dump in terms of maybe Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, or Dylan Brooks. So they have a lot of different things they come out here and do with this team. So that's kind of the first thing. That's why they've been mentioned, and that's why a lot of the teams that have tradable assets will say the Rockets are the team we want, because they know they're going to get the best value for their superstar or their player with the Houston Rockets. Let's continue on in this report. Obviously, we know the 2 names mentioned the most. It's Kevin Durant and it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And while we've talked about them so much, I think it's important to really look at these players again and know that they are some top-tier talents in the NBA. We know Kevin Durant is a little bit older, 36, will be around 37 when next year starts. His points per game, still very high. His rebounds per game, very high. His assists per game, still pretty high. Everything about him screams a top player in the NBA, and he could be very helpful for this Houston Rockets team. And while I think in a lot of ways, a lot of Rockets fans are leaning more towards this guy and Giannis Antetokounmpo, it is going to be a little bit more, let's say, of a challenge to get Giannis in terms of what the trade package is going to have to look like. But at the same time, the Bucks are in a bad spot. The Suns are in a bad spot. They want to trade Giannis. They want to trade Kevin Durant, and they know the Rockets have a lot of the assets that they would love to have. So the Rockets, they're going to get some calls. Rafael knows this. He has acknowledged it, and that's exactly why he said, we're in the trade market. We have certain packages we'd be willing to give up. However, I also know that my team is damn good. They will be just fine next year if they do need to come out here and play the same team that they were. That's also going to work perfectly, and I think he recognizes that, and recognizing that and showing that to the NBA is such a big thing. We continue on in the report here and kind of talking about this. For the Rockets, the situation is the same when it comes to possible trades with either team. The Rockets hold all the cards in any trade scenario. The reason for that is that the Rockets are not desperate to make a trade. And that's the big thing here. We know Rafael Stone. We've heard a lot from him, but this is really the first time we're kind of getting an in-depth look knowing that he does not need, like he has to pull the trigger here. And while there is the report that the Rockets are the most likely team to make a trade this offseason, whether it be for Giannis, whether it be for KD, whether it be for Ja, Tyler Hero, Trae Young, whatever you want it to be, Houston's very likely to be one of those teams. Even The Athletic, John Hollinger, they said that he was voting on all the NBA teams. He voted Houston as the likeliest team to make such a trade this offseason. So that is a very big point when we look at all this and try and dissect what this Rockets offseason is going to look like. Now, we've talked so much about these trades and the top 10 pick and what the Rockets are going to look like next year. But I think we've also kind of lost sight of what the Rockets have waiting in the wings. Reed Sheppard is a great player. In fact, I saw a Twitter X post, whatever you want to call it, yesterday showing highlights of Reed Sheppard and saying this guy did not average more than 5 minutes per game in the NBA this year. That's how tough it is to average minutes. And he is dang good, and he could easily play for this team if they needed him to, which is exactly why if you trade away a Jalen Green, if you trade away some of these top players, I feel comfortable with having Reed Sheppard step in there. I feel comfortable with Cam Whitmore having to step in there. Now, is that what I want? I don't really think so. I'd rather have the core of this team still here and maybe make a smaller trade for Tyler Hero or John Morant. But at the same time, I feel very comfortable with Reed Sheppard and I feel very comfortable with Cam Whitmore if they should so choose to come in here and proceed to, let's say, make some moves here. So this is where I want to continue on in this sport, in this topic, and we go to the next part of it here. So when we talk about this team and we look at it, we see this. Quote, Rafael Stone has repeatedly said that they could bring back the same core as last season and make minor moves to improve the team's depth. It is known at this point that trading for Giannis will cost a lot more than any trade for Durant. The Rockets are not willing to mortgage their entire future for any player, even one as good as Antetokounmpo. So there is your big report of the day. The Rockets are not going to trade away their franchise players that they believe in for Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is the closest thing we have to saying that the Rockets are in the Giannis sweepstakes, but they have a toe dipped in the water. Nothing more. That's kind of the big thing that we're seeing in this. The thing that I see with the Bucks and with the Suns is that the Rockets are a big trade target because of the assets that I've already mentioned. And so there's going to be calls, and there's going to be a lot of them for Rafael Stone. And the way he answers them, the way he manages those calls, you could work out a decent trade if you catch Milwaukee slipping, saying, desperate to trade away Giannis and knowing they want Houston. I find that more to be away with maybe a KD, a Ja, Trae Young, but there is chances of that too where you could potentially see that. And I want to go on to the last report here, which is one that I really think, well, if my graphics will work here. Okay, well, whatever. Either way, this is kind of the end-all, be-all of this, is that the Rockets are in a good spot. And go back to the Houston offseason little look picture here. The projected salary is at the first apron, right at it. So they need to try and get that under, which again, if they want to do that simply, it's get Fred VanVleet, restructure his contract and have him come back, and you have this same team. You're going to have to re-sign, in my mind, Steven Adams. Everybody else on those free agent lists, I don't think is that big a deal. Aaron Holiday, you could maybe restructure a deal, option him out. Steven Adams is the one guy that I'm like, I would like to have him back. That's the guy that I'm like, man, I want to see him here in the Houston Rockets red for another year. So that's kind of the hope, but at the same time, we'll just have to wait and see. There's so many different pathways this Rockets team could really kind of go out and make their way with all of it, but it's so interesting when you think about this and when you look at the Rockets as a whole and know that they could easily come out here and fully go in and make this a very, very good season with a couple of trades. They could also make it a very, very good season with the team that they had right now. So That's why the question still stands, what do we do? And there's the graphic saying, quote, for now, the Rockets can afford to be patient as they wait for the NBA draft and closer to the start of next season. That is when teams start to become more anxious about possible moves as they look to lock down their opening game roster. So, big thing is, seems like the Rockets are going to be okay waiting for a bit, which I'm totally fine with. Wait till your heart contends. If a Giannis trade falls in your lap when he's down the line, Bucks are a bit more desperate, you're going to get a better package for him, that's great. Now, same time, you got to be careful if you do want to make a trade and you get down to the waters. Sometimes they'll be a little more stingy and say, you know what, we're not going to trade him at all on this point. So that's kind of an interesting point, but I want to go to this last point here. If I can get it here. Well, it won't go, but, well, either way. The last point I want to make, and it was in a quote, but for whatever reason, the graphics I'm making right now, the Houston Rockets are in our best place. They are in a perfect spot for so many different reasons, and they can come out here. They can do exactly what they did last season, and everybody okay with it. They can come out here. They can make a trade for Giannis. They can make a trade for KD. And what may split what H-Town fans, what y'all think, what we think of the Rockets next year, it still doesn't change the fact that we believe they are going to be a very good team next season, and I'm very excited to see what they will do with this roster, and for that case scenario, what this team is going to be able and capable of next year. I compare them a lot to OKC and how OKC was so young. They had the draft picks and they built from within. If the Rockets choose to do that, that is great. But you also have to look to the Eastern Conference and you look at the Celtics. They have a lot of homegrown talent. Jason Tatum, Jalen Green. You have Peyton Pritchard, the sixth man of the year this year. But they also brought in pieces to get them a championship. KP, Drew Holiday. Talk about a couple of players that they had to bring in that really led them to a championship last year. There are two different pathways in the NBA, and we watched them unfold last year with the Celtics, and we're watching it unfold with the Thunder this year, and how you can be young, you can keep that, you can be the Celtics, you can go out and trade for that pick. It just depends what Rafael Stone wants to do, but I love the fact he's being patient, and I love the fact that the Houston Rockets are going to be competitive next year no matter what happens. I appreciate all y'all watching, and I do apologize for the graphical mishap. We should get fixed by the next show, but do appreciate it coming out here, coming on my soapbox and talking about the Rockets. And again, get in the comments section, let me know your thoughts, opinions on this topic. And again, hit that subscribe button. We're going 1,500 subscribers. We're about 1,300 right now, so I would appreciate it. But as for now, we'll see you next time here, H-Town fans. Peace out.